What we want to work on is creating a new book. When we will create a new book, it will have all of the properties for the book. Along with that, we will have to select publisher. So for publisher, we want to display the drop down so that they can select from a list of publishers. I have added few publishers and authors to our project. So for that, in the Upsert, right now we were just using a book model. Now we need to create a view model for that because we want more entities. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll stop the application here and I'll close everything other than book controller. We will go to our model project. I'll add a new folder for view models. And in there, I'm going to create a class file which will be book view model. In this, we want two properties for our book. First will be a book object, so it will be book. We'll call this as book as well. And the next property that we'll have, it will be prop IEnumerable. We want a drop down with a list of all the publisher. So we can just add select list item. We'll do a control dot to install ASP.NET Core.mvc.features. We will install the latest version for that. And we'll call this publisher list. So we'll store the drop down here and the book model will be right here. That being said, let's go to the book controller and we can uncomment the upsert getAction method for now. Inside the upsert, we will be receiving the book ID if it is an edit functionality. Here, rather than book author, now we need to work with is book view model and we'll add the using statement. We'll paste it here. Now, even if the ID is 0 for the create, we still need the publisher to be loaded in this object. So we'll say obj.we have the publisher list. Here, we want to select all the publishers from the database, but we want to convert them to a list. So for that, we can use projections. That brings us to an interesting topic, projections in EF Core. Projection is a way of translating a full entity into a C# class with a subset of those properties. It is used to create a query that selects from a set of entities in your model, but it returns the results that are of a different type. Now, projection queries improve the efficiency of your application because you select only the field that you need and not all of the properties. We will be using select link statement for projection. So let's take a look at an example. Right here, you can see we want to retrieve customers with only ID and full name. Let's say we have 10 more properties, but we do not want to retrieve that. So on the context object, we call customers, then we use the .select, and we create a new object of anonymous type, which is cust, in which we are returning ID and full name will be a combination of first name and last name. So in this example, the customer data is projected to anonymous type, which contains ID and full name. We want to use something similar in our example if we switch back. So if we go back here, we want a publisher list, which is a select list item. And we want to retrieve from the database in publisher. So how will we do that? Right here, we can go to _db.publishers and we saw the use of select there. Now in select, we will retrieve an anonymous object, let's say I, and this will be of the type new. We want a select list item. We can add a using statement for this on the top. So I'll cut this and I'll add using here, paste it here. Inside select list item, we need two properties, text and value. This is for the dropdown. So in text, we want the publisher name. So we want I.name, comma, for value, what we want is I.publisher ID, but we need to convert that to string. So this way you can see using projection, we are accessing from database and we are projecting it directly to a select list item and we are assigning that to the list right here. Once you assign that list, if ID is null, we'll return to the view and we will display the drop down. In the else part for edit, what we will do is inside the OBJ, we will load the book based on the database. So we'll go to the books here and first our default, we will say book underscore ID is equal to the ID. Once you retrieve that, if it is null, we'll return not found, else we'll just return back. So we'll return the object to the view, and with that in place, let's add the upsert view in the next video, but the get action method looks good and we learned something new in this lecture, which is projections.